Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Values of Ashura. Joining us today in our studio we have Sheikh Afzal Merali. Welcome back. For today's discussion we will focus on freedom as a value of Ashura and what it should mean to us. So how would you present freedom as a value of Ashura which Imam Hussein alayhi salam revived?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى صحبهم الأخيار المنتجبين وعلى جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك على الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. We continue on with our discussion where we're talking about the values that Imam Hussein alayhi salam revived with his uprising. When I come to the fifth value, after having talked about firstly the covenant and the responsibility that Imam Hussein alayhi salam has with regards to the ummah, with regards to the religion, with regards to Islam, his imamat and our responsibility to follow the imamat. We talked about intolerance to cruelty, the second value. We had dignity, al-izzah. We had infaq that we talked about yesterday, and today we want to talk about freedom, al-hurriya. Of course, each of these values can be learned from particular words of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the speeches, and inshallah, the particular words and the particular statements from which we can draw this value of freedom, I will mention later on. But as we mentioned before, the battle of values differs from the battle of normal military arms, normally military skills. These kinds of battles, the battles of values, differ according to each value, and each value has its own methods and its own ways of fighting it and winning and having victory with regards to reviving this particular value and defeating its opposite. Of course, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he brought and revived this value of freedom regardless of the fact that he was martyred, he was beheaded, his womenfolk and the Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam and the others were taken captives and were shackled. The Imam revived this value even though they were taken as captives. So we can see that this is something very different from the normal military warfare that we have today. But how, inshallah, we'll explain later on. With regards to slavery and how Imam Hussein alayhi salam came about defeating this slavery, which is the opposite of freedom. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when he came and saw the situation of the Islamic Ummah, he saw that there were two main forms of slavery. Today we're going to talk about the different kinds of slavery later on. But he saw that the Ummah, first of all, on an individual level, each human being was a slave, either to the fear of oppression or of the injustice of the oppressor of that time, of Yazid. At the same time, their thoughts, they were slaves to those thoughts, and they did not have thoughts of freedom. Okay? In addition to the fact that they were also shackled with regards to their tongues. So their tongues were shackled, they were tied, they were knotted. They would not speak out the truth. Yeah. When the Imam came and saw this situation and saw that people are only clinging to the apparent rights of the Islamic faith, what was even worse was the fact that many people did not even know that they are free. Or they were not free, I mean they were slaves. When the Imam saw the situation as such, he saw that it is very necessary for me to call people to become free. And thereat, as we always say, that he came and launched his uprising. As a result, then Imam Hussein alayhi salam, after him having revived this value, we now come to see that Imam Hussein is referred to in many ziyarat as Abu al-Ahrar. Assalamu alayka ya Abu al-Ahrar, the father of the free ones of the world. And truly Imam Hussein has taught us something which is universal and applicable in any society regardless of a person's faith. And he has been a role model who has taught us freedom.
Okay, so when discussing slavery, the image which most of us form is of a master ordering a servant around, harsh treatment. But is slavery limited to this?
Of course it is not. Slavery, of course, when a person now comes to see what kind of talk we are talking, what we are talking today about is values. We're not talking about that particular social system which was at that time and thereafter abolished, and that Islam worked very hard to remove. We're not talking about that kind of slavery. We're talking about a slavery of another kind. This kind of slavery has many types, a moral kind of slavery. It has many types. I mentioned, first of all, the slavery of thoughts, the slavery of the mind. I have different thoughts, I have new thoughts, I have revolutionary thoughts. But my environment or those of my elders or the leaders, they don't allow me to voice my opinions. And thereat, I keep them to myself. If I remain quiet and I have the truth and I think the truth, then I am a slave. It was Imam Khomeini, one of those free people. It was those who were with him, like Shahid Mutahari and others, who, when they brought about these revolutionary thoughts and started to translate them practically, thereat they were truly following the example of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Another kind of freedom or slavery is the slavery of the tongue. Like I said before as well, there is a particular truth that I have to speak, and it is very much necessary. And when I don't speak it, other people are doing wrong and they're going astray. If I keep quiet, then I'm a slave of my tongue, of the tongue. Okay. Thirdly, and which is a very, very important kind of slavery, it is hubb dunya, to be a slave of the world, the love of the world. There is a narration which is very known, hubb dunya ra'su kulli khati'ah. After having mentioned that we have the slavery of the mind, of thoughts, we have the slavery of the tongue, there is the slavery of the dunya. It is the fact that I love this world. I am very much attached to this world. It's apparent ornaments, money, children, etc., etc., cars and whatnot. This ibadatul dunya is something that Imam Hussein alayhi salam referred to. And this is what I was meaning when I said that we can refer and deduce each one of these values from the Imam's words himself. He said, "An-nasu abidud dunya wad-dinu la'qun ala alsinatihim fa-idha muhhisu bil-bala qalla ad-dayanun." People are slaves of the world. And religion, deen, is just a taste on their tongues. And if they are tried with bala, very few will remain religious. So we see that people at that time had reached the worst kinds of slavery, which is the slavery of the dunya. And as we see from other narrations, that hubb dunya is the basis, is the origin of all other mistakes. Okay, so thereafter we can come to see that from this hubb dunya there were many evils that were spreading, and they had reached this level. Okay, so Imam Hussein alayhi salam came and saw this at the situation, and he said that something has to be done. Okay, and as such, the Imam started to work on the ummah in order to remove this. This hubb dunya, just to add something, this hubb dunya, it does not only mean that I am attached to it. No. Under it also come other kinds of slavery. For example, slavery to our own desires as well. Because if I want something, there's a particular feeling, there's a particular lust, or there's a particular desire that I have, let's say. To practice this desire or to fulfill it normally comes under the category of me being dunyawi, materialistic. So this is also related to hubb dunya. So thereat, just to conclude, what we want to summarize is we have hubb dunya. We start from the slavery of the mind, we have the slavery of the tongue, slavery of the desires, which in generally all return to slavery of being slaves of this world.
So in Nahj al-Balagha there is a short statement which illustrates how unworthy the love of this dunya is. Now, could you elaborate on this statement?
Imam Ali alayhi salam, among the many references that he has referred to the dunya with, there is one very eloquent way, or in one very eloquent statement he has referred to the dunya saying, ألا حر يدع هذه اللماضة لأهلها إنه ليس لأنفسكم ثمن إلا الجنة فلا تبعوها إلا بها. Is there not a free person who will leave these remnants of food for their own people? Your souls, your nafs has not a price except Jannah, so don't sell it except for Jannah. Okay. Imam Ali alayhi salam, first of all, let's look at the word lamada. Al-lamada is the remnants of the food, those pieces of food that remain in the teeth of a person. So he is resembling, he is symbolizing that these remnants of food that remain in a person's tongue or a person's teeth, these are the dunya. So when a person wants the dunya, he is going to another person's mouth, like America, like the West, like oppressors, etc. He is going to these people's mouth, he's opening them, he's taking out these rotten pieces of food, putting them into his own mouth, and becoming happy and chewing them. It is like a person dressed properly, elegant, going to another person's mouth, taking these pieces and putting them into mouth. This is how Imam Ali is picturing this world. This is how the world truly is. So in general, this is how Imam Ali is picturizing al-lumada, this world, that it is al-lumada, a remnant in the teeth. Can a person imagine taking a toothpick and going to another person's mouth and taking this? Of course, no one would ever do that. This is how Imam Ali is saying that this dunya is very low. This is not something that your nafs is worthy, that you attach it to such low a thing, such basely a thing. No, your nafs is for something far higher. Jannah is what your nafs is worthy of. So attach your nafs, your souls, to the hereafter, to the amal, to the salihat that take us to the hereafter, that make us worthy of the Jannah, and sell your nafs to Allah for the Jannah. Okay? And not for this basely world. Over here, if we take the example of someone contemporary, if we take the example of Imam Khomeini.
Yes.
During the time of Imam Khomeini, the Shah of Iran, what he was doing, like many Muslim countries today, is that they are going to the mouth of the West. They're letting the West open their mouth. They're taking their own toothpicks. They're opening their mouths and taking this food and putting into their own mouths and the mouths of their people. Imam Khomeini, when he saw the situation, that the situation of his country was as such, he saw that it is very necessary for me to come out and uprise, for me to become a free person. He went and learned from the situation from Imam Hussein alayhi salam, how he approached to Yazid, even though he only had 72 helpers with him. The Imam Khomeini went up, he stood, he refused to take al-lumada from these teeth. In fact, he did not only remove or leave this, he even broke the teeth of the Shah when he, in the end, toppled him and established the Islamic revolution. Of course, if we continue on talking about the dunya, there are other narrations as well ascribed to Imam Ali alayhi salam, also in Nahj al-Balagha. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "Wallahi la dunyakum hadhihi ahwanu fi ayni min iraq khinzirin fi yadi mazdum." Okay, what does this mean? He's saying that by Allah, this world of yours is lower to me than the intestines of a swine in the hands of a leper, a person who's suffering from leprosy. Okay. So amazing a picture and so disgusting a picture, right? To just truly say that what is the irfani, what is the gnostical picture of the love of this world or taking from this world, how it truly affects ourselves and how truly disgusting it is. Let us imagine, for example, Imam Ali is saying that, can a person imagine the intestine of a swine? Okay, this intestine of a swine is in the hand of a leper. A person who has this very well-known disease, that when he has this disease, the society generally shuns him and he's kept away in the back of the society, he's not looked at, etc. Okay? Because of how he looks due to this disease. So let us imagine this person holding a intestine of a swine, not even a goat or any halal creature, of a swine. Okay? Then a person, elegant, finely dressed, having a nice perfume, etc., well groomed, coming over there, waiting for this person to just sleep a little bit and just putting his hand in his hand and taking this and eating it. How disgusting is this picture? This is how Imam Ali alayhi salam is showing what this dunya is, how it is, how it affects us, and how it truly makes us disgusting. So a person has to truly strive, and of course this is a subject of another discussion. He has to truly strive to leave this attachment to this world and look to something far better. With regards to this, of course, about how Imam Ali alayhi salam treated this world, I would just like to mention a narration over here. Zirar bin Zumra al-Zibabi, who was known as Zirar al-Suda'i, he was a companion of Imam Ali alayhi salam. After the martyrdom of Imam Ali alayhi salam, this person went to Damascus. So Muawiyah called him and asked him to say something, to talk to him, to mention something about Imam Ali alayhi salam. Now Zirar, knowing that Muawiyah hated Imam Ali, intensely tried to avoid this. But Muawiyah forced him to speak. There's something very important to be mentioned. Muawiyah, even though he was the arch enemy of Imam Ali alayhi salam, but at the same time, he did perceive the truth. In his heart and in his closely circle, he was known to truly be perceived and to truly perceive the truth. And words of truth sometimes would come out of his mouth or in his actions. Let's see what the person over here says and what Muawiyah does. Thereupon Zirar said, "O Amir, I had often seen Imam Ali in the depths of the night. When people were either sleeping or engrossed in amusements, he would be standing in the niche of the masjid with tears in his eyes, and he would beseech Allah to help him maintain a pious, a virtuous, and a noble character, and to forsake the world." Over here, what do we mean? To forsake the world. He would then address the world saying, "O vicious world, be away from me. Why do you come in front of me like this? Do you want to allure me? Allah forbid that I be allured and be tempted by you and your pleasures. It is not possible. Go and try your allurements on somebody else. I do not desire to own you and do not want to have you. I have forsaken you thrice. It is like divorcing a woman thrice, after which act she cannot be taken back as a wife. There is no raj'a in the three. The life of pleasures that you offer is of very little duration. There is no real importance in what you offer. The desire of holding you as an insult and a humiliation to sober minds. Sad is the plight of those who want to acquire you. They do not provide for the hereafter. They have to pass through a long journey over a very difficult road towards a sad destination. Zirar says that when he stopped, there were tears in the eyes of Muawiyah, who said, May peace of Allah be upon Abu al-Hasan, Salamullahi alayka ya Abu al-Hasan. He was undoubtedly like that. Look at how Muawiyah is saying, he's confirming that Imam Ali, he is accepting this. And he said, undoubtedly like that. Now tell me, Zirar, how do you feel this separation, your separation from Imam Ali after the martyrdom? Zirar replied, my sorrow and grief is like that of a woman whose only child has been murdered in her own lap. With this remark, he left the court of Muawiyah and left the city. What I wanted to quote over here is how Imam Ali he would talk to this world, how this world was in his eyes, how he was so adamant, how he was so cautious to stay away from this world, that's not even a small kind of attachment would be made between him and this world. Of course, Imam Ali, he is known to be the person who has disgraced this world the most. One of the well-known scholars in Iran, Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli, he says that if I were to say, he says that if this world was asked who has disgraced you the most, who has humiliated you the most, who has made your respect taste the dust of the ground, this world would yell and reply that it is Ali who has disgraced me the most. I would also like to end this then by just mentioning in one of the letters to Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, or while writing his will to Imam al-Hasan, Imam alayhi salam says, وإياك أن تغتر بما ترى من إخلاد أهل الدنيا إليها وتكالبهم عليها فقد نبأك الله عنها ونعت لك نفسها وتكشفت لك عن مساويها فإنما أهلها كلاب عاوية وسباع ضارية يهر بعضها بعضا ويأكل عزيزها ذليلها ويقهر كبيرها صغيرها. Beware, my son, do not be carried away and be allured by the obsessions of the worldly people and the vicious life and its pleasures. Okay, before we were talking about how this world and the love of attachment and attachments of this world is on the person's soul, in his heart, gnostically, spiritually, okay? How this state is, how this picture is. Now we come to talk about how the Ahl al-Dunya, those who love this world, how they are with each other. Not the Ahl al-Akhirah, رحماء بينهم, okay? Merciful between each other. No, we talk about the Ahl al-Dunya. Imam Ali says, do not be carried away and be allured by the obsessions of the worldly people and the vicious life and its pleasures, and do not be impressed by the sight of their acute struggle to possess and own this world. This is not something that needs to be owned. It is not something that is so delightful, that is so attractive as they think. Allah has very mercifully explained to you everything about this world. Not only the merciful Lord, but also the world has told you everything. It has disclosed to you that it is mortal. It has openly declared its weakness, its shortcomings, its vices. Remember that these worldly minded people are like barking dogs, hungry and ferocious beasts. Some of them are constantly barking at others. The mighty lords of this world kill and massacre the poor and the weak. This is how Ahl al-Dunya are with each other. Whatever a person is attached to, the qualities of that thing will imprint on their soul and their character, in their nafs. If it is the Akhirah or Allah Azza wa Jal, then this will imprint on us. We take the Sifat al-Rahman, we take the qualities of Allah according to our own state. Whenever we come closer to Allah, or whenever we come closer to Ahl al-Bayt. As for this world, whenever we come closer to it, then we take its qualities. Its qualities are as such. Imam Ali over here says that this world has vices, it has shortcomings. One of the companions of the Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam asked him, "Oh Imam, when will we rest and have peace of mind?" The Imam says, the first day that you will enter Jannah. Why is this? Let us just talk about this philosophically. We are plane of existence. We start in the verse we recite, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Is it not? So we start our existence with Allah Azza wa Jal. When He first creates us, after that, after having created us, we start our journey. After having started our journey in Alam al-Aql, in the world of the intellect and the world of the soul, then we come to the world of al-Barzakh al-Nuzuli, the descending barzakh. There are two barzakhs. Barzakh is like a separating barrier. Okay, so we have the Barzakh al-Nuzuli. This Barzakh al-Nuzuli, sometimes according to some riwayat, it is referred to as Alam al-Dhar, etc. But there is a life before this life. Now during that life has characteristics, some of the perfect characteristics of that world, and some of the imperfect characteristics of this world. After that we come to the dunya. Now the lowest plane of existence is the dunya. One of the reasons why it is called ad-dunya, or the low, or the basely, an opposite to al-ulya, okay, ad-dunya, it is because this world, its existence is very low. We can't have those, for example, that high level of thawab, those kind of existences, malaika, etc. They can't exist over here in their true form. Hur al-Ain or the Jannah, etc. How those existences are, they can't exist here because this is too weak to handle them. Okay. There's just one example that is said that the Hur al-Ain, if she just uncovers a parts of her hand, for the people of this world, they will all die because of how beautiful that is. Okay, so this world can't handle this. So as such, this world can't have that much of pleasure. It can't handle it. So thereat, why should a person look for these small bits of pleasure, quote unquote, and leave the akhirah? This world was not even made for this. Okay. Why should I look for example, why should I look for a Range Rover in a Beetle 1970, for example? I can't do that. Even if I put huge tires in it, it won't work as such. Okay, so as such, A person should not look for that in this world.
Another aspect often examined when discussing slavery is the treatment of slaves. So for those who make themselves the slaves of this world, what kind of treatment can they expect?
Of course, this is a very important question. And like I mentioned before, that first of all, the thing that a person is attached to, I will start to take its characteristics. At the same time, whatever characteristics I have in my soul innately, I have in my inside, these will be translated in my actions. Okay? And by the way, this is very important. Some people say that I'll continue listening to music, haram music, and I'll continue to do some haram, etc. I won't wait for Salat al-Fajr, etc. But inshallah, I'm waiting for Allah. Allah is very merciful. He will guide me one day. Okay? Or some of our sisters, especially in the West, they won't wear hijab. They say, but I am mu'mina, I'm mu'mina from inside. I have belief from inside. I have iman. How can this be? Whatever is inside is translated outside. If your outside is as such, that means your inside is as such as well. Okay? Now, at the same time, the dunya or whatever other person who takes another prisoner, whatever characteristic that person has, what will come outside. Now, if the Ahlul Dunya who become attached to the dunya, these are their characteristics. That will mean that the dunya itself is far worse than them. They will not be able to take all of its characteristics, all of its evil. All of its evil and becoming attached to it. Okay, it has some goods. Dunya is the place for amal, is the place for deeds. It's the farm of deeds, it's the farm of the akhirah. But at the same time, with regards becoming attached to it, this is something evil. Now, with regards to the dunya itself, it normally treats this person as if an old woman chewing something, chewing a piece of food and then chewing it out. How disgusting is that? The dunya is as such with regards to its people. The dunya, when a person becomes attached to it, it makes this person its slave. And when a person becomes its slave, he will continue on doing what he can in order to get closer to her, and he won't be free from its chains. Let's just start, for example, just to give some practical examples. The Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he took prisoners in one of his excursions, in one of his battles, one of the prisoners was the daughter of Hatim al-Ta'i. I mentioned Hatim al-Ta'i in one of our lectures, one of our sessions. Hatim al-Ta'i was a very generous person, known during the Jahiliyyah time. He was so generous that he is very well known that he was called Kathirul Ramad. There would be a lot of ashes around his house. Why a lot of ashes? Because he would cook a lot of food for people. At the same time, he is even known that once someone came to him, a guest came to him, and he had nothing to offer, nothing to give him. So he just had his one horse, and he slaughtered his horse. A horse is makruh to eat, but he slaughtered his horse in order to feed this person. Now, when his daughter was taken prisoner by the Prophet, how did the Prophet treat her? He treated her with utmost respect. He made her sit. He brought her with the carpet, they spread a carpet for her, etc. And he asked her, "What do you want?" etc. And he let her free after she accepted Islam. Okay, he asked her, "Do you want to come with us to Medina, or you want to return?" She returned. So this personality, this is how the Prophet who has all these characteristics. On another hand, let us see how some modern people who take others prisoners, let's say for example the example of the Americans. The Americans, with all the characteristics they have in their hearts, when they went to Iraq and when they went to Afghanistan, taking the example of Iraq, the scandal of Abu Ghraib prison is very well known. We know what they did with the prisoners, making them transgressing their, going against their chastity, etc., taking them nude, etc. Whatever happened to them, many of them committed suicide, many others have been killed, etc. This is how their characteristics are, and these are Ahl al-Dunya. So what about the world? The world itself is far worse. However, the more a person drinks the salty water of this dunya, the more thirstier he becomes, and the more addicted he becomes, and he can't in the end let go of it. If a person sees that, oh, right now I want to make money, okay, it is a human trait. that whenever a person gets this little, he will want more and more and more. And we know this. Whenever we find, for example, there's a particular business that gives me $2,000 a month, I will see that how can I multiply this? I will quickly, even though initially I will only be having, for example, $300-400 a month, but when I find this opportunity to make 2,000, I'll quickly think, how can I make this 5,000? Quickly. And so this dunya, as the more it draws a person inside it, the more a person is drawn inside it, the tighter its grip will become, and in the end he won't be able to let go, and will become dunyawi totally. In the end, so this dunya, this is how the dunya treats this people. Dunya itself, like I mentioned before, means the basely existence. Dunya is as such, and its qualities are as such as well. It's not only it is the lowest plane of existence, no. And it's morally, metaphorically if I were to say, morally it is the same. So as such, we have to try as much as we can to only take from it that which we need.
Okay. So after having understood the concept of slavery, we can discuss the concept of freedom. Now, when can a person truly celebrate freedom?
When should a person celebrate freedom? This depends on when a person is truly free. But how can we discern if we're truly free? We should not look at, am I chained, am I jailed, am I in the jail right now? Okay, has the police taken me? No, this is not one to how to discern if I am truly free or not. Sometimes I can be in the jail, but I can be a free person because I stood up for something that is true, something that is my right, for example. We have to see, first of all, we as Muslims, okay, we whatever country we're living in, we have to take a strong part in it. We have to take a strong part in the politics. We have to take a strong part in the social system of that country. We have to truly show our existence, that we truly are Muslims. We are the follower of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad sallallahu alayhim jami'an. We are their followers. We have to show their characteristics. We have to be callers to them without by our actions, not by our tongues. So we have to practically practice our beliefs, our beliefs of mercy, our beliefs of justice, our beliefs of progress, of advancement, etc. Now, we should see, for example, is our economy free, or are we indebted to particular countries with conditioned loans, and these loans, most of them go against the interests of our people? That's one. We should see, is our politics as such, are we puppies to Western systems, that our Muslim leaders are quiet right now with regards to many atrocities that are committed against us, whether that's in Syria, whether that's in Iraq, or whether that's in Palestine, whether that's in Afghanistan, whether that's in Pakistan as well, etc. Are we as such? We should see, are our dignities, is our respect, are we able to talk freely and express our opinions and voice them, and express our thoughts and call for our rights? Are we able to do that? If we're not able to do that, that means that we should not celebrate right now. However many days of independence and days of liberation, etc., when these come, but as long as we are truly shackled by these things, which are the true shackles, which is the true slavery, then it is not that much of a point having these celebrations. Until we're totally free, like Iran is free right now, then should we truly celebrate our independence and our freedom.
So now we must ask that, what can we learn about freedom from Imam Hussein alayhi salam?
Imam Khomeini has a very important statement, which he says, all that we have is from Ashura and is from Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. All that we have is from these. I mentioned before in one of our first episodes that there are many values in Ashura. There are so many values. In fact, it is like a divine planning for us, that this episode, that this film, let's say, that took place on that day was divinely planned, that it should be a lesson for all people in all walks of life in all times. It is as such. At the same time, Imam Khomeini, this high marja, respected person, political leader, this figure, says that all that we have in Iran, all that we have is from Ashura. What does he mean? From Ashura, one of the values that we mentioned until now, رفض الظلم, to refuse oppression and cruelty. They did so. They faced the Shah, they faced the Americans, they faced the Iraqi tyrants of that time, Saddam Hussein. Okay. Imam Hussein alayhi salam has taught us the importance of knowledge. And right now, if we look at the Iranian universities, if we look at the houses, if we look at the scientific development, advancement, so many different forms of technology, especially nanotechnology, etc., some that even many countries of the world haven't reached to, or which Iran is one of the only few, very handful countries that has this technology, weapons, etc., being strong. Al-mu'min al-qawi khayru min al-mu'min al-da'if. The strong mu'min is better than the weak mu'min. If we see all of these different lessons, and this strong mu'min was Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who even though he remained the only person on the plain of Karbala, he came and fought them for freedom. And he fought them with so much courage and bravery and strength that he by himself was equal to a battalion of hundreds of soldiers, that he was able to remove the forces of Umar ibn Sa'ad from the banks of Furat, and he came to the Furat. But at that time, one of Umar ibn Sa'ad used a tactic and said that, go and attack his womenfolk. And of course, I'll come to mention this. So they went to the camp because they couldn't fight him. He was a lion. He was like a lion, and he's the son of a lion. Imam Ali alayhi salam, Asadullah al-Ghalib. For this reason, they weren't able to do this. Now to just come back over here, then this is the al-mu'min al-qawi. And Iran is as such right now. The Iranian army is one of the strongest armies of the world. One of the strongest armies of the world. And the reserve army, the Quds, Faylaq al-Quds, and the Basij, etc. All of these are lessons from Ashura. So truly, if we come to see the lessons of Ashura, I can't just say in one sentence or in one answer that how can we learn these lessons from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And even the lesson of freedom has so many different details. But in general, we can say that the stance of Imam Hussein, a lonely person on that day, has taught us a lot, to the extent that this Islamic nation, this Islamic republic, which is in Iran right now, this Islamic republic says that, the leader of it says that, I have learned everything and all of that we have is from Imam Hussein. And it is this lesson that is learned from Ashura that is going to take it until the final stage, when this country will be ruled and it will give the reins of power, its reins of power, to Imam al-Hujjah alayhi salam, ajalallahu farajahu sharif. So these lessons that we learn from Ashura, especially the lesson of freedom, gives us, it will give us this charge of continuance, like it has given Iran until now, and that is going to keep it continuing until Imam al-Hujjah alayhi salam's reappearance. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, this freedom that he taught us, when he was fighting over there, when he was fighting, I said that he reached the banks of the Euphrates. He wanted to drink some water in order to quench his thirst, and so that he could fight them. Okay, it is not that the Imam just went over there. Now I want to become shaheed. However, it's possible. I will. And according to what some of our Zakirin say, that Imam Hussein alayhi salam was fighting over there, and thereat he killed so many people that Jibreel was he was so longing, so much yearning to meet Imam Hussein, that he cried from the skies. He said, "Oh Imam Hussein, are you not going to become a martyr? We so much want to see you." So what the Imam did was he just dropped his sword, and then he gave his neck to the country. What kind of talk is this? Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his goal was this goal of freedom. The result was known. Allah Azza wa Jal knew in His knowledge that he will become martyred. But that does not mean that he should not uprise. No, it was his wajib to uprise, to go against Yazid, to go against Umar ibn Sa'ad, and so he uprose. In the end, the result was that he was martyred. But also his taklif was to do as much as he can in order to try and keep himself alive. Ramyu bin nafs ila tahluka, throwing oneself to annihilation, to death, etc., is haram. So the Imam was trying to gain his strength, whatever strength he could, in order to fight. Now when this happened, I mentioned that those people did use another tactic. They went the women folk into the tents. So they wanted they wanted to loot them, they wanted to burn their tents, etc., and to unveil them. Over here, the Imam quickly went over there, and I quote what the Imam said. He said, وَيْحَكُمْ, woe unto you, يَا شِيعَةَ آلَ أَبِي سُفْيَانَ إن لم يكن لكم دين وكنتم لا تخافون المعاد فكونوا أحرارا في دنياكم هذه وارجعوا إلى أحسابكم إن كنتم عربا كما تزعمون. O the followers of the progeny of Abu Sufyan, you are the followers of Abu Sufyan, you have their qualities. If you do not possess any religion and are not afraid of the day of judgment, you don't have any religion, you're just following them, you're slaves to them, okay? At least live like free persons. With this thing, with regards to our women, be free persons. Don't follow them in this. Okay? If you are Arabs, and since you consider that you are Arabs, then at least turn towards your ancestors and your lineage. Over here, what we mean is that Arabs, even when they would fight before, during the time of Jahiliyyah, they would not approach the women folk. They would not hurt them, they would not torture them, etc. There was a certain sanctity with regards to women and with regards to children. But over here, what they wanted to do was something that goes against this. So the Imam is saying that if you're not religious, and religious asks you to, if you're not following the religion, and your religion, Islam, asks you to be as such, to give sanctity, to regard sanctity with women folk and children with sanctity, and not to hurt them, not to torture them, oppress them, not to attack them, then be like you were Arabs before during the time of Jahiliyyah, who would not attack women, etc. Okay, and return to those values that you had. So Shimar over here said, Yabna Fatima, the son of Fatima, what are you saying? Imam Hussein replied, أنا الذي أقاتلكم وتقاتلونني والنساء ليس عليهن جناح فامنعوا عتاتكم وطغاتكم وجهالكم عن التعرض لحرم ما دمت حيا. We men have fought each other. I'm fighting you and you're fighting me. These women have no fault in it. Till the time that I am, and that as long as I'm alive, keep your rebellious transgressors and ignorant people away from my harm, from my women. And so over here, the Imam was able to get something, because over here that saw that, of course, he's starting to scratch out being Arabs. Okay, we are Arabs. So he struck their hamiyah. So they said, okay, no problem, لَكَ ذَلِكَ, we'll leave your women. So they left him at this time. They left the woman. Okay. But so over here, in general, the Imam, again, another word, كُونُوا أَحْرَارًا فِي دُنْيَاكُمْ. The Imam told them, be free in your world. Okay. This is, again, the Imam is referring to the same lesson.
What else can we learn about freedom from the other great personalities who were present during Ashura and after it as well?
If we look at this, Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salam, after being taken as a prisoner, of course, we had this one to refer to something, one of the subtleties with regards to Imam As-Sajjad, his sickness, according to the narrations, is he is mentioned as, in the narration, as being sick on the day of the Ashir, and he was sick until he reached Kufa, according to many sources. But after leaving Kufa, there is not that much mention of him being sick. And this, according to many scholars, many historians, may allude to the fact that he became well. He was cleared from the illness. Now, what this may be a divine wisdom that Allah Azza wa Jal made him sick, and when he was sick, he wasn't able to come to the aid and fight with the Imam Hussein. And Imam Hussein, when the Imam As-Sajjad called, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when he called, هل من ناصر ينصرني, Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salam, over here he is an Imam, and he's also a follower of the Imam before him. He put up his sword, and even though he was so weak, he took up his sword and wanted to come out. He went out of the tent in order to fight and help the Imam. But the Imam Hussein alayhi salam told Sayyidah Zainab, take him back to the tent. If he does not return, if this does not happen, I am afraid that the progeny of Ali Muhammad will not continue. The Imams, the lineage of Imams will not continue if he is martyred. Okay? This may allude to the fact that if the Imam Sajjad was martyred as well, something could have happened to Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam as well, because Imam Al-Baqir was also present. Continuing on, so Imam Al-Sajjad was taken until Sham in his shackles. But at the same time, he was not a prisoner of the tongue, he was not a slave of his tongue. So whenever he would be mocked at, whenever Imam Hussein would be mocked at his head, his holy head, the Imam Al-Sajjad would be very quick, like I said, Zainab, to respond. one of the things Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam over here, as referring to the same thing over here, he says that إن الحر حر على جميع أحواله إن نابته نائبة صبر لها وإن تداكت عليه المصائب لم تكسره وإن أسر وقهر واستبدل باليسر عسرا كما كان يوسف الصديق الأمين وصلوات الله عليه لم يضرر حريته إن استعبد وقهر وأسر ولم تضروه ظلمة الجب ووحشته. A free man is free in all states and conditions and situations. If some calamities fall on him, he adopts patience. If difficulties come on him, he still remains undefeated. And if his state is changed to that of solitude and helplessness, it will not still affect his freedom. The freedom of a truthful and trustworthy person like Yusuf was not even slightly affected, even though he was made a slave and a prisoner or was a victim of atrocities. Even the dreadfulness of the well and it could not leave a slight effect on his freedom. So Nabi Yusuf actually, is very interesting that Allah mentioned his story in the Quran. He faced all of this imprisonment, etc. And Ahlul Bayt also imprisoned. It's like a reference. One of the holy prophets, one of the 124,000 holy prophets, his story was also something similar to Ahlul Bayt. Now, over here, Imam Ali alayhi salam also says that with regards to freedom, Imam Ali says, لا تكن عبد غيرك فقد جعلك الله حرا. Don't be a slave of another person. Allah has created you free. As such, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam translated and practically practiced all of these narrations that I've just mentioned. And so when he was in the court of Yazid or in the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, Imam al-Sajjad spoke those words of freedom with might, with eloquence, the same eloquence of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he truly showed the people who was the true free person in there. Another personality to mention over here is the personality of Hur. I did mention when we were generally just listing some of the qualities or some of the values that we have learned from Ashura. One of them was the value of Tawbah, related to Hur ibn Yazid. Another value that can be related to Hur is as well freedom. His name is Hur. Imam Hussein also very eloquently referred to this later on. Hur was the leader of that group of soldiers who were patrolling the borders of Iraq at that time. When the Imam Hussein came to the Iraqi borders and was going to Kufa, Hur blocked him. Let us just see how this conversation took place between them. Imam Hussein said, "Why have you come?" Hur said, "I've come to block your way." Imam said, "May your mother cry. May your mother weep on you. May your mother weep on you. On your death. What do you want?" Hur, being a slave at that time, wanted to block the freedom of Imam Hussein, and he did at that time. But Hur over here, look, he was a slave, but there was bits of freedom in him. Hur said, if someone else in this Arab world would have told me this, I would have replied him the same thing. But because of you, because of who your mother was, I can't say the same thing. My tongue does not allow me to say the same thing. Hur had akhlaq over here, and so according to some narrations, the anger of Imam Hussein slowly went away. Over here, Hur took the Imam Hussein over there. Short form, Imam Hussein on the 10th night, on the night of the 10th of Muharram, Hur was in his camp. Over here, there had been during these few days many people going from the camp of Imam or from that other camp in order to talk, in order to hold discussions, in order to hold any kinds of negotiation if possible. And many things had happened. And Hur was present over there because he was one of the generals. So he said he was walking according to some of his soldiers. He was walking in a way and to a direction that they thought that something is wrong with this person. So when he was asked, Hur said, "Inni khayru nafsi bayna al-jannati wan-nar." I am right now in such a situation that I'm making myself choose between heaven and hell. He was in that much of a situation. And he said, "Wallahi wala akhtaru ala wala ufaddal ala jannati shay'a." And I will never prefer over the Jannah anything. And so he went to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He went to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, this free person. In the end, he broke those shackles of imprisonment of slavery to Al-Abi Sufyan. He broke them of the world, etc., of power, of whatever. He broke them. He came to Hussein. He said, "Hal li min tawbah? Is there any place for you? Is it possible for you to give me to grant me to forgive me?" Imam Hussein said, "Rise, O Hur. You are forgiven." But this Hur, where was this Hur? Where was his freedom, his sense of freedom? Where was his chastity? Where was his thought? Where was his courage? Where was his respect for Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam when this same son of Fatima alayhi salam, when his mother, this mother that Hur was respecting, when she was in Medina and those oppressors came to her door in order to try and force Imam Ali alayhi salam to give allegiance. This same Hur, where was he when the doors of Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam's house, the same door that the Holy Prophet knocked for 6 months continuously every morning, reciting Ayat al-Tathir, the verse 33 of Surah Al-Ahzab. Where was this Hur when that house was burnt? It's truly a sad thing. This Hur, he came to the battlefield on the day of the Ashura. He said, "I want to be the first person to fight for you, O Imam." And he truly was one of the first martyrs. He went over there, he fought with courage, he fell, and as he fell, he called to his Imam, "O Imam, come to me." I say to Hur, you have your Imam coming to you, but with regards to your Imam, when he fell from his horse, who took him on his lap? Over here, as the Imam came to him, then he told him these final words, "Wallahi ma akhطأت أمك إذ سمتك حرة فأنت والله حر في الدنيا وسعيد في الآخرة." That I swear by Allah, your mother did not commit a mistake, did not make a mistake by naming you Hur. By Allah, you are a free man in the world and glorified in the hereafter.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for now. But join us for our next episode right here on IBN TV. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next program.